probably not good for me if she hears that.
She'd be mad at you if she thought that was on the video.
Especially if she found out about that trip to Vegas.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of hard to care about football as much as we normally would when during the Vikings-Lions game, the Flip Saunders news came down, passed away at age 60. And so, I mean, we'll get to some Viking stuff in this, but Judd, you and I were emailing back and forth, and you stopped watching the game at different portions because what does it matter for?
I kept it on, but it's like, it's weird too because we knew he wasn't doing well, and you had heard things, in the last month or so that basically said, say prayers for Flip. So I was thinking to myself on Saturday, this is really grave, but then I saw the tweet at 1 o'clock today, and I just felt like someone had punched me. I mean, I guess what's weird about something like this is you don't know how you're going to react to it until you see it, because it's not like I said, oh my God, he got killed in a car accident or something. I mean, he had cancer, and we knew that he had stepped away from the team, but what a massive gut punch for a guy who's 60 years old, and you think to yourself, he owns part of the team now. He's the coach. He runs the team. This is like your dream job if you're Flip Saunders.
And he put it in a position where it's going to be really fun for a long time now.
And in 2+ months, he's just dead.
Yeah.
So I guess there's no way to articulate, because it's not like I knew him well, but there's no way to articulate just how sick it makes you feel.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the biggest compliment, or I think the thing that stands out to me the most, and it's sort of from a media radio host perspective, but he did this with people too. He's the best compliment I can think of in just knowing him a little bit was he always gave you the time of day. He always gave people the time of day. He was a normal dude who loved sports and would listen to all the sports talk shows in this town. And he'd randomly call in, or he'd call up media friends of ours who covered the team or who, were Wolves insiders, and he would say, hey, if we made this trade or if we drafted this player, how do you think it would go over with the public?
Yeah.
And he cared, and he was accessible, and he was a normal dude. He was a guy you could envision getting beers with.
I remember one of the times, he was a host on your guys' morning radio show, and he was listening to one of the producers' intros for him, and they said something they said something he didn't like, and he joked about it. And you could always tell he was always listening and engaged with what you guys were doing.
Yeah, he was ripping Dave Harrigan for being negative after they won the lottery a few months ago.
It's funny too because at the same time it holds you accountable because you knew that he had either listened or been told about what transpired on your show, but it also, one, made you feel good about that, and two, from that second, fourth, it became like talking to a buddy. I mean, how many executives, managers, and coaches do you get on and it's question, answer, and that's the whole thing. Flip would come on and almost disarm you, which was fantastic, because it went from, we're talking to the president of basketball operations for the Wolves to we're talking to sort of a normal guy here.
And how often is it the other way around when it comes to these kind of GMs or whoever you want to talk about, where you're trying to disarm them, and trying to get them to let their guard down, and it wasn't that way with Flip.
Remember when you and I were in Fort Myers in like late February, early March, and KG played in 5 games last year for the Wolves, but he comes back, plays that one game against the Wizards, and it was sold out, 20,000 people. Yep. And we're up against a commercial break. There's 4 minutes left until a hard break. And Flip calls in, and he's making the media rounds. And he calls in and basically just takes it 4 minutes straight of, how awesome is this? This is amazing. Everyone get out to Target Center. It was like Scott in Andover is calling in. But it was the guy who runs the basketball department. So
just a normal guy, and such a sad day, and such a sad thing.
So on the football side, Teddy Bridgewater, I want to say it was 316 yards or something like that to end the game. A couple touchdowns, no picks. And the Vikings dig out from a double-digit hole in the first half. Best game of Teddy's career so far?
Oh, that's tough. I don't know if I'd go that far quite yet. I think this was definitely a game where he needed to do this, though. If they were going to have a chance to win with the defense allowing those 2 touchdowns right out of the gate, with Adrian bottled up for 14 yards on his first 11 carries, I think Teddy needed to shoulder that load. I guess this was his 17th career game. Probably was one of his best starts. He's 1 yard shy of his career high there at the passing yard total. I think, though, Stephon Diggs, we can't talk enough about him. We did the entire video on him last time, but you can't talk enough about a kid who's got 324 yards through his first 3 games, made that leaping touchdown grab on that 36-yarder where that ball by Teddy, it wasn't perfectly placed, but it was placed to where he could make the play on it, and that's what you need, especially when Adrian Peterson's being bottled up as much as he's been.
And that boy was ugly, but that's a big boy win today, too. when you go on the road and those first 2 drives for Detroit, you're saying, what the hell is going on?
It looked like San Francisco.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I tweeted that. Yeah. And when you come back, and how long has it been, by the way, since we've seen a Vikings coaching staff, offense or defense, make an in-game adjustment that drastic, and it works? Ordinarily, they would fly home after a 8-point loss.
Look at the film.
They look at the film, and then the adjustment would come.
Yeah, we should have done this in the second quarter. Get them next time.
But the Frazier-Ponder contention of it's easily correctable was always done with, but we just lost the game.
Right.
Zimmer said it's easily correctable after 2 drives. That's the key here.
Yes, I want to say, so the Lions were just trampling the Vikings up and down the field for the entire first quarter. I want to say, I saw that they flashed this graphic up on the screen too. From the end of the first quarter until the halfway point of the fourth quarter, 5 yards offensively for the Lions, 1 first down in the second half up until that point. Then the Vikings kind of backed off a little and allowed some yardage at the end there. But this defense, this team now has proven to me that they can win in 3 different ways. Maybe not all 3 ways in one game all the time, but they can beat you defensively like they did. They made Matt Stafford miserable again. They hit him 13 or 15 times. Yep. And it was like the bloody elbow game from TCF Bank Stadium. He was miserable by the end of the game. They can beat you through the air now, where Bridgewater, you can say, all right, well, the running game's not really working except for the 1 big run by Peterson. So go throw for 302 touchdowns. Yep. And there's going to be games, of course, where Peterson goes off and he carries 25 times for a $140. So they can beat you 3 ways right now.
Well, Teddy, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that he can beat you. I think if the defense puts him in situations to win the game, he can do it. He's not the guy, in my opinion, that's going to go out there and throw, though, for 3 touchdowns, 300 yards every single game. I think we need to kind of stay grounded in the fact that Detroit's defense is one of the worst in the NFL. They were allowing 29 points entering this game. They were allowing 9 yards per throw, the most in the NFL. So Teddy took what they gave him, and that's exactly what you need. I just think now with this, you're right though, with this offense, they need to be able to lean on him. The defensive adjustments was the big thing to me though. I saw it on the 3rd drive. Right after they allowed 2 touchdowns, Mike Zimmer comes out there and decides to pressure Matthew Stafford with his linebackers. Chad Greenway gets a sack, I think it was on the 3rd play of that 3rd drive. That's the kind of thing where they're not necessarily going to sit there and say, okay, we drew up this game plan in the week, we have to stick with it. No, they're making adjustments when something's not working right away, and that's the coaching staff that you didn't have before.
And the thing that I love today is against Detroit at TCF Bank Stadium, that game plan for the first 2 drives worked, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So that worked at the time. And so most coaching staffs would say, what's going on here? It's not working. Zimmer said, forget it, abort it, and I'm changing it. Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough how long it's been since we've seen that ability here with the Vikings coaching staff, and that's how you win football games. Now, I will say this about today's game. A week ago, they beat the Chiefs, and we all said, that wasn't very impressive. I mean, it's a home game. The Chiefs aren't good. The Lions stink as well. And in this case, you don't care, right?
It's a road win.
If you go on the road, I don't
absolutely.
care if you beat Chicago by 2 points next week. If you go on the road and do what the Vikings did today, style points to me mean absolutely nothing. That's the key, and that's where this team has to get to, where they can consistently go on the road and give themselves a chance to win, and you do that by making adjustments and winning really, really ugly NFL games.
Yeah, and while they struggled in the red zone too, Blair Walsh at least hit the field goals. They at least hit the 5 field goals. He missed on the extra point, but you'll take 2 50-yard field goals from a guy who had been struggling so much, and now I believe he's made 10 straight field goals. You're going to take that every single time.
It is kind of funny how he gets dialed in. Oh, there it is, right down the middle, 50-plus yarder, and 2 seconds later he botches an extra point.
It looked like his rookie season, but then he goes and pulls that.
But the 50-yard field goals are good news because the Vikings are indoors next year, and if he can hit those, that becomes key. Because what his rookie year in the Dome, right? Yep. Those were his forte, that he could hit those, and that is absolutely paramount to me to his success long-term for this organization.
And if this offense is going to continue to struggle in the red zone like they have, they've got, I believe they've got 19 red zone trips through 6 games, 10 field goals, 7 touchdowns, and a couple turnovers. You can't have that kind of ratio. To beat the Packers, to beat the Falcons, who they play in a couple weeks, you need to have those touchdowns. You need to start converting and cashing in for 7, especially when you have Adrian Peterson, which just goes to show me that this offensive line is still nowhere where it needs to be.
Okay, so we have, can we coin it Dipgate now? Is it
Dipgate?
Krammer sorted it out.
Well, yeah,
Explain it, Krammer.
And the reporters asked in Detroit after the game.
But can I guess?
Yeah, go for it.
Shrimp dip.
It was not shrimp dip. It was real shrimp. It was actual just seafood.
So is he allergic to seafood?
Why is he eating seafood?
I don't know.
Phil just hit on it.
So have you guys seen Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie?
I have not.
So you've never seen a Bond? That's right, you've never seen a Bond movie. Well, there's a spoiler alert here. Actually, earmuffs
I've never
here.
seen a Bond movie.
What?
It's,
Yeah,
we talk about it all the time.
There's been like
boring.
25 of them, and he's never seen one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one.
Oh my god.
So spoiler alert, earmuffs
No,
for
I'm
you.
not going to see it. That's okay. I'm good here.
There's a scene where he gets poisoned. He drinks a poisonous drink or something at the card table, has to leave, and then goes in and has this kit in his Ferrari where he's got this gigantic needle he has to put into his heart to restart his heart. I'm envisioning Peterson night before a game. Adrian, you shouldn't eat shrimp. You're allergic to seafood. I've got 3 EpiPens. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be if my heart stops, just somebody resuscitate me. I love shrimp.
He's on the sideline just giving himself one through the pads.
What is he doing? Quit eating seafood.
But
Adrian.
apparently that's what it was. You're right. The story was that, and apparently Mike Zimmer or Adrian, or no, sorry, it was actually Jeff Anderson, the PR guy, went on Twitter after the game and said, I think the TV crew got caught away with a joke made during a pre-show meeting or, a pre-broadcast meeting where somebody must have said, oh, he just swallowed a dip. And they actually ran with it on air and
but
said.
I think he admitted he did swallow a dip on the flight. There was turbulence. He did admit, I saw, he told someone after the game.
Oh, okay.
He actually did swallow a dip, but that I've been chewing for 10 years, he said. I swallow dips all the time.
Oh.
My body's immune to it.
Can we start off with that's disgusting to start off with?
So it was that and a combination of the shrimp, apparently.
Yeah, so he's swallowing a dip and eating shrimp. That makes me want to Ralph, and I didn't eat or swallow any of it.
Start smoking and mix in more salad.
Oh, God, that's gross.
That's the key to longevity in the NFL.
Oh, that is disgusting.
In like 30 or 60 seconds before we wrap up here, the schedule starting a month from now gets weird. You get Green Bay a couple times. You get what's likely to be a desperate Seattle team. You get Arizona on a Thursday night.
Yep.
You still have Eli Manning and the Giants. But leading up to that point, you go at Chicago, home against a good, underrated St. Louis team, at Oakland. So you might be favored in all 3 of those games, maybe in 2 out of the 3 of those games. 2-1, a safe record to set yourself up for the tough part of the schedule?
Yeah, they're 2-0 now in this stretch of the 5-game stretch we kind of pinpointed on. They got to capitalize on that because after those 3 games you're talking about, they face, it was Green Bay, Atlanta, Seattle, Arizona in a 19-day stretch because Arizona's in a Thursday night game. So they've got a lot of difficult games coming up after this stretch. So to go 2-1, that'd be a huge success. That'd put them at, 5-3 out of that? I think that'd be kind of where you want to be.
6-3.
6-3. Yeah. Can't shortchange them.
Do you know what, boys? I'm taking it one game at a time. They haven't won in Chicago since 2007. The Bears stink, but I'm dead serious.
Yep.
At this point, I am looking at this team, especially on the road, as being one-game endeavors. And if you go to Chicago and win for the first time since 2007, that's a step, right? It's a step in the right direction.
You're going coach speak on us at the end of this.
No, but I'm dead serious. You can't. Technically, if you look at it, 3-0 is very possible for this stretch. It's very possible because you get St. Louis here and you could beat them here.
And that's the toughest game.
All of that being said, though, when I look at this team, I really look at a team where you are looking for baby steps. Because this might not be a playoff team yet. It might be. But what this team is for the first time in a long time, I think the Vikings are on the right track. 2012, you pop up, and that's great. But you didn't say to yourself, oh, this is a great team. You said to yourself, well, that's weird. You go 3-13 and then make the postseason the next year. So I really am saying that, to me, this is a gamely endeavor to see what they can do next.
And keep Adrian away from the Chicago seafood restaurants.
No Red Lobsters.
There's a lot of good stuff downtown Chicago.
I swore he told us in Mankato that he was done with seafood after it damn near killed him. So I don't know what he's doing now.
It was the gumbo in 2013, right?
Yeah,
Or 2012.
but I thought he said, well, I think that's last time.
Yeah, guess not.
We'll find out.